Hello everyone, Nubkex here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, where we have two big shard events coming with CVC. And of course, the CVC upcoming, by the way, is going to be a personal reward CVC. As always, I will be streaming it probably 19 hours and 39 minutes from the recording of this video. This is, of course, going to be synced across all games. So whenever CVC starts, and probably for the first 2 or so hours of CVC, I will be here on the channel streaming live right here on YouTube. So I, of course, invite you to come and watch. And yeah, it's just a good way if you want to chat, ask me whatever you want. I always have a really fun time, enjoy engaging with you guys on the stream. So yeah, what are these shard events though? Well, guaranteeds are back on the menus, guys. We have another guaranteed void. First of all, let's talk about 10x events. So we're going to have 10x events from Ancients and Sacreds, which does not... It's at the same time as the guaranteed void legendary, but it's not that. So first up, we have Elva is going to be in the 10x from Ancients and Sacreds. Elva is incredibly good. I will say that there was a guaranteed Elva for 20 Sacred Shards. So a 10x event for Elva isn't super enticing in that sense, especially if you got her there already. But Elva is great. I use Elva in my Nightmare Hydra team. I use her in Arena. She has an AoE cleanse with block debuffs, increased speed. She has a Sifi style passive where she's pumping out healing every time an ally takes a turn. She puts out continuous heals on her A1, speed aura, and a good single target revive. Really solid base stats across the board. I would say that overall she's probably, she's not as good as Sifi overall, but she's kind of like a little bit of a mini Sifi. She's got shorter cooldowns, which is nice. Actually quite nice. And yeah, she's a really good champion. She is really great. So Elva is good, but like I said, a 10x event, it's something for you guys to consider. The other one is, funny enough, I literally recorded a video on them this morning. I'm not hacking Plarium, I swear. Literally pure luck. But Mighty Uko is coming up, who was a previous fusion as well. So that's why I feel like this 10x is kind of weird. We've got a recent fusion and the most recent guaranteed Sacred Champion are both up in 10x, which is odd. I would say, I just feel that most people that are in a situation to pull for a 10x event, which typically means someone who's a bit later in the game, you've got a good stockpile of shards. I'm actually tracking your Mercy timer. You don't need epics, so you don't care so much about 2x events, right? Anyone who's in that sort of position, most people will have these champs already. It's a bit funky, but Uko's obviously insane. Like, I just did a video on Uko earlier. Go watch that video if you want to see. Uko is top tier in Arena, especially with the build that I'm using now. Really makes a big difference. And at the same time, it's obviously going to be great for, really good for Hydra with decreased attack AoE, block buffs, buff stripping, decreased accuracy AoE, brings a revive, speed aura as well. Just a really, really good overall champion. Now that this move is fixed and actually works against the Head of Wrath, much better than he was initially against Hydra. He did not work against... The most important head to put block buffs on in Hydra is the Head of Wrath. Obviously, he gets increased attack and murders you, and this did not work. That has been bug fixed, though, thankfully. So Uko is much, much better now. So yeah, look, there we go. They're the 10x. Now, the guaranteed is none other than the champion I did a video on very recently, than Supreme Kayle, the 4th Supreme Champion. So we've had Elhain in the Fusion. We've had Aethel was in a 10x. We've had Supreme Galek just gone in Champion Chase tournament. Congratulations if you won. Like, we saw the person in my group who won, pulled over almost 400 shards, I think. A lot of shards, a lot of shards. Supreme Kayle is coming in for 110 Void shards. Now, in the video I posted yesterday, we pulled some Void shards. I'm down to 80. So, I mean, I've been reading your comments. I'm going to read them more. We'll probably talk about that on stream tomorrow, actually. It's a really interesting video in terms of, like, should I spend more? Whale out a little bit and buy some stuff. In the short term, certainly for this Supreme Kayle, I probably will go buy about 60, about 30 Void shards so I can complete it, if possible, if the packs show up in the shop. That's a worry I've never had to deal with before, because I've never really been buying stuff in the shop. I've got to hope I get the right packs that aren't really bad value, but for me, I probably will buy it and pull it, so you can stay tuned for that. We'll have a shard pull video for Supreme Kayle, most likely, probably about a 70, 75% chance I'll do it. So stay tuned for that. But I have a full showcase of this champion. If you want to see him in action and see what I think about it, YST actually took part in that as well. Supreme Kayle, certainly we look at his stats, he actually has got very good attack and crit damage and very good speed. This champion goes fast and he hits hard, but he is quite squishy. And a really cool thing, none of his moves can be resisted. Debuff cannot be resisted, right? Effect and debuffs cannot be resisted. So all of his stuff that he does is 100% consistent. In case you don't know, there's always a 3% chance that enemies can resist your debuffs and your effects, right? No matter what. There's always that 3% chance, no matter how much accuracy you have. There are a few champions in the game. Ghostborn is another example. Part of what makes him so good and can be used instead of Lydia is this. He has a decreased defense that cannot be resisted. So Ghostborn shows up, has shown up even in a lot of hard mode farming teams for dungeons because it's 100%. Whereas, let's say Lydia, you have a chance to miss both decreased defense and weaken, and that can make your teams fail. So having moves that can't be resisted is really good. This move, I think, is the most interesting thing that Dark Kayle, or Supreme, I call him Dark Kayle every time. Supreme Kayle does increase accuracy on the team, and then he places decreased resistance as well. This is very unique, and it's pretty likely that this will remain very unique. When you consider how much I actually broke this down. I showed you for Iron Twins. I showed you for Nightmare Hydra as well, how much accuracy you would actually need to build on champions with these debuffs and buffs. And it goes super low. Like, you need so little accuracy in your champions to do this. So certainly as we look towards the future, towards higher stages of hard mode dungeons, maybe Ultra Nightmare Hydra, whatever this freaking thing is, right? That's going to come at some point in the game. I'm waiting for it. I hope you guys are hyped for whatever this thing is over here, yeah? Another clan boss. It's possible for some future content this could be a big deal. It could be a big deal. Could certainly, at the very least, it opens up some potential unique team builds. I think the downside of this move is that it makes the accuracy requirement so low, I don't know if it's necessarily essential. Especially considering that Perception gear is not only extremely good, but probably, you know, for a late game player, the most plentiful gear set in the game. It's so plenty. You get so much Perception gear. I've got tons of good perception. Probably all of you, probably, once you get far enough, you start farming faction wars reliably. You get so much Perception gear, and you end up, therefore, lots of very, very, very good Perception gear. Maybe just increase accuracy or decrease resistance on their own will be enough for really any form of content. So that's something that could be a downside. Maybe the two together aren't super useful, but I think it's likely to be unique. Then is A2, AoE, 3 poisons, and then he extends all enemy debuffs by a turn. That's a really great move. That's so strong. And then he's got the weaken on his A1. He's got a great kit. His passive's not bad. I think in particular with this one, decreasing crit rate with 5 poisons, that's 15% crit rate gone, which means that any typical enemy in PvE content cannot crit you, which is decent, although I do feel like that's a lot of poisons. At the same time, 5, with the 3 that he puts out in one go, it's not enough to stop them critting, though it brings them down a good bit. It's certainly interesting. I will say that. Decreasing the accuracy by a percentage, that is also interesting. Because that could potentially, again, against some of these really high-end bosses, you could potentially knock a lot of accuracy off them. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this champion has enough unique stuff going on that I'm intrigued. You can see I tested him out in Iron Twins. Now, my test wasn't successful, but with a different build, I think he could be great for Iron Twins and especially higher stages, though I think there's very good alternatives like Claude Beast Feeder Epic is actually who I use, and it's an amazing, much more budget alternative, much more budget. For Hydra, he really surprised me. He's got some big pros and big cons. I encourage you to watch the video to find out. So yeah, I think he's basically, the danger is you can fill up the debuff bar and then you can fail to provoke the head of decay, which can be a problem because then he can come in and cleanse. But if you can get the provoke on without Supreme Kayle filling all the debuffs, it can be quite effective. But yeah, it's very interesting, champ. Guys, let me know what you think about this one. For me personally, I think Supreme Galek would be a bit more preferable, but Kayle is an interesting option. He'll certainly be a very strong option for arena as well, for live arena, as a champion who comes in that can hit very hard and also stop resistance type teams. Now he'll get flummoxed a decent amount by he will get flummoxed a decent amount by Stone Skin and stuff like that. But you know, you go into a live arena draft and you take Supreme Kayle and maybe a bomb champion, and you could be putting in a lot of danger with the increased accuracy for your bomb champion. Either one of these champions could be killers. They could wipe the enemy team with the damage they do. It's an intriguing option. So look, there you go. Yeah, let me know what you think of these events. I'm curious to see. And like I said, I will be streaming CVC. So I will see you there. Be there or be square. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.